it's working, everything's good. Okay, yesterday we talked about some basic tags. Today we're going to talk about CSS. Okay, some basic styling. So first of all, we have to create a new file, completely new file. So how do we do that? First of all, we open what?
Notepad?
Yeah, Notepad. So first of all, we're gonna open Notepad, and yeah. So the second thing is we have to save this file. So the shortcut for saving is Control S.
Are you sharing your screen?
I'm not sharing my screen. Okay,
Oh,
okay,
that's
okay,
right.
okay. Sorry about that. Okay, is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So first open the Notepad and then save the document. Let's say we're gonna save it on the desktop. And yeah, let's name it basic styling dot CSS, not CSS, sorry, dot HTML. Okay, now we have this basic styling dot HTML file. Okay, before we start, I just want to say that I am really impressed with you guys, with your progress. It's really good for someone that is just starting this field. So your assignments were really good, and keep up the good work. Okay.
Yes, those assignments took us like 3 hours.
Yeah. No, it's completely
We
fine.
tried our best.
Yeah, no.
Difficult, but
For
we tried.
starters, it's completely normal. To be honest, it's completely normal. Back in the days when I was learning, it was like same. I would take like 3 to 4 hours to build like something
Yeah.
simple like resume or something like that. So it's completely normal. Okay, so and then okay, now we have this file and let's open it. Okay, can you see it now? Both of these screens. Let's split the screen in two parts. This one on the right side and this one on the left side. Okay, so what's the structure for writing the website? First of all, we have what? Which tag am I going to put first?
HTML.
HTML, the opening and the closing. Inside the HTML, we're gonna have the head and the body. Okay, for the title, we're gonna say that inside the head we're gonna have title, and title is going to say basic style. Save it and then refresh your document, and now we have this basic styling title. Okay, so what I want to have right now is I want to have an H1 and H2 and a paragraph. So how do I write that? How to write H1?
You have open.
Open, yeah. H1,
H1.
yeah, and then we close H1. And let's say we're gonna say this is maybe, let's say, first heading, and we're gonna write H2, and then we'll say this is second heading, and for the last part we're gonna have a paragraph, and it will say this is paragraph. Save it, refresh it. Okay, so now we're gonna move towards styling. So styling comes under the CSS. Okay, so basically there are three ways to write CSS. Okay, this is an actual interview question. So how many ways can we write CSS in? How many ways are there to write CSS? We have 3 ways. Okay, so yeah, so the first one is inline styling. Okay, inline styling, inline CSS. Then we have internal CSS, and then we have external CSS. So what would inline CSS refer to? What would it refer to? Take a guess. Like inline.
Staying in the line.
Exactly, staying in the line. And what does staying in the line mean in terms of this this HTML?
Like a paragraph.
Staying in the line. You said it right, but what does staying in the line would mean in context to this H1, for example? Staying in the line. You're right, staying in the line, but in the context of H1, it basically means staying in this tag. Okay, staying in the same tag that you've written your text in. Okay, so inline styling basically refers to styling in the same tag, like here. Okay, then we have internal styling. Internal styling is basically like where you have HTML and CSS, both of them in the same file. You're writing HTML, and in the same file you're gonna write CSS. Okay, and then we have external styling. What would external styling would mean? Like if internal means having HTML and CSS in the same file, what does external mean?
Not in the same file.
Exactly, not in the same file. Then where would the CSS be? Like if it's not in the same file.
External for external.
Yeah, for external, where would the CSS be? Look, for internal CSS, we have CSS in the same file as HTML, right? So for the external CSS, where would we have CSS? In a separate file. Okay, okay. So we have CSS. I'm going to repeat it again. Inline CSS, inline styling. Inline styling is what? Where you style right within the tag, opening tag. Okay. Then we have internal styling, where you have CSS inside the same file that you write your HTML code in. And then we have external CSS, where you have a separate file for CSS and a separate file for HTML. As long as we're using this notepad, this notepad text editor, we're going to write inline CSS and internal CSS. Okay, and when we shift towards VS Code, we're going to write external CSS, and the most preferable way to write CSS is the external CSS. Okay, but the most powerful one, what do you think would be the most powerful one out of these three? Inline, internal, or external? The most powerful. Okay, so I have a question. It's like a hint. So who's the most powerful after the president? Exactly, the vice president. So out of these three is internal, external, or and inline CSS. Which one could be the vice president?
Would it be the external one?
Sorry?
The external one?
No.
Internal.
There's another one. External is like a separate file. Internal is like in the same file, but still we have a distance. What about inline? Inline is the most closest to this one. Isn't that right? So what would be the most powerful one? The inline styling would be the most powerful form of styling. Okay? Okay. So first of all, we're going to start with inline styling. So how do you write inline styling? Inline styling is like writing attributes, and we did discuss about attributes yesterday, right? So how do we write attributes? We're going to go where? Let's say I want to style this one. Okay, this H1.
Inside.
Yeah, inside. Inside where?
And right after H1.
We have two H1. We have this H1 and we have this H1 as well. Which one should the first one? The opening tag. Exactly, good. So what's the syntax for writing attributes? But first tell me, what is syntax? What does syntax mean?
I have to look at my notes. I remember you told us.
Yeah, I did. I did tell you guys. So that's why I'm asking what does
It was
syntax?
like rules.
Exactly. Good. Very good.
Yeah.
It was like rules for writing something. Rules for writing code is called syntax. Okay. Okay. The first thing is, what do we do first in order to write?
The attribute tag.
No. Attribute doesn't have a tag. It's basically inside a tag. Okay. So
The whole thing.
yeah, it's the whole thing. So the first thing for writing the attribute is what? I have to give what?
The tag name.
Space. Good. I have to give a space, and then I have to write the attribute's name. So inline styling is like is like an attribute. So I want to style, so the attribute would be style. Okay. Then the next thing is
Equal.
equals to, good, and then the next thing is
Quotation.
quotation marks, very good. Okay, so now between these tags, between these quotation marks, we have the CSS word. Okay, it's completely a new thing. Outside of these quotation marks, we have another word, that is the HTML one. So the syntax for writing HTML is completely different as compared to the syntax for writing CSS. The first thing you need to remember. Okay, inside these quotations is totally a new word. Okay, so how do we write CSS? For writing CSS, we have, like, you have to remember like three things. First of all, we're gonna have the property value. Like, what do we want to do? For example, what I want to do for this h1 is I want to change the color for this h1. Okay, so what would be the property value? Sorry, what would be the property? If I want to change the color, what would be the property?
Color.
Color, exactly, good. So the second thing we want to write is, first of all, we write the property name, and the second thing is we write property value. For example, if I want to have this heading as red, so the property would be color and the property value would be red, exactly. So that's how we write CSS. So first of all, we're gonna write what? We're gonna write property name. So what is the property name? We want to change what? We want to change the color for this h1. Exactly, good. So we're gonna write what? We're gonna write color. Okay, any problem? Okay, so in the second thing we're gonna write is we're gonna have to write the property value, like what color do we want. So we have to put an equal mark, but it's not the same equal. For equality we use colons. In CSS we don't have to put equal to, because there's no equal in CSS. And if you want to equate it to something, you have to write what? You have to write colons. Okay, okay. So after the colons, we're gonna have to write the property value, like what you want this h1 to be, like if any color you want. So let's say for the time being we're gonna write red. Okay, and the last thing you have to do is put semicolons. Now what this semicolon is basically called a terminator. So what does a terminator do?
Like it changes the color.
No, the terminator, this one.
The end of the line.
Exactly, very good. The end of the line. So this thing basically tells you that this property is now finished. Like anything I write after this is completely a new thing. It doesn't have any kind of relation with the first value. Okay. So this is how we write CSS. If I save it and if I were to refresh it, now we have this different color. Any problem? I think you guys do have a problem. Okay, so let's do it again. So how do we write CSS? Save it, refresh it, and we're gonna write CSS again. So see, inline CSS, currently I'm talking about inline CSS. So inline CSS is basically like writing attributes. Okay, it's just for the inline, not for the internal or external. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do what?
Color. I mean the style.
Yeah, very good. First, space. Good. First of all, we're gonna write space, and then style. Good, and then equals to quotation marks. Very good. So again, I want to change the color of this h1. So how do we write CSS? Inside these quotation marks, it's a totally different word. So what's the syntax? First of all, tell me about the syntax of CSS. How do I write CSS? First we write what? The first thing.
Color.
And what is color? Yeah, we do write color, but what is color? Very good. It's a property name, property. And on the right hand side we write what?
The value.
Oh, very good. The value. So the left hand side is your property name, like what do you want to do, and this right hand side is how do you want to do. Okay, so let's say I want to change the color, so left hand side is going to say color, and for equality we use what? Equals to the equal sign. Colon. Good. Colon. And then for the value we're gonna write, let's say we're gonna read the color value what we want to do is. So let's say for this time I'm gonna write blue, and at the end we have to write what?
The semicolon.
Very good. Semicolon, which is going to indicate that this property is now finished. Just save, refresh, and now we have this blueprint. Okay? Any problem?
No.
Okay.
No.
Great. Let's say I also want to change the background of this h1. Okay, we did discuss in the first class we discussed about color and background colors, right? And you guys told me that color is basically referring to the text color and the background is referring to the element color. So in this case, what is the text and what is the element for this first thing? What is the text and what is the element? Like
The
what?
text
Yeah,
is
yeah.
first.
This is the first thing. Very good. And what about the element?
H1.
Very good. Exactly. This is the heading is your text, and this h1 which this is the heading is written in is your element. Okay, so if I write color, it basically refers to the text, that is this is the heading. Now if I were to write background color, it would refer to what?
The element.
Very good, the element, and the element is h1. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to write another property that is going to refer this h1. So where do I write it? This before the semicolon or after the semicolon?
After.
After the semicolon. Very good. Why? Because this semicolon indicates that I want to write a new property now. So there's another thing you need to know about CSS is when you have more than two words, a property name that contains more than two words, you are going to separate them with a hyphen, okay, with a dash. If you have a property name in CSS that contains more than two words, you're going to separate them with what?
The dash.
The dash. Exactly. Good. So now I want to change the background color. So how many words does background color have?
Two.
Two. Very good. So how do we write it?
So you're gonna write background dash color.
Very good. We're gonna write background dash color. Okay. And then
The
equality sign.
semicolon.
No, not the semicolon.
The
The
two
colon.
dots.
Good. The colon. And then the value. So what should I write for the background color? What's
The
going to
color.
yeah, the color.
Pink.
Pink. Okay, pink. And then at the end, we're gonna say what?
The semicolon.
Good. Save it and then
So the
refresh it.
semicolon, it just ends it off.
Exactly.
It's
Very
done.
good. It basically ends that property.
So when it ends the property, does the background automatically become the color?
Does the
Does
background
it?
automatically becomes the color?
Because we set it to pink, so it will just become pink right
Yeah,
away.
it's basically doing what? It's basically separating the line before the semicolon and the line after the semicolon. For example,
Okay.
look, this color property is completely different from the background color. Is that right or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this semicolon is basically doing what? It's basically separating these two properties.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
now we have what? We have a pink color at the background.
Okay.
Okay. Any problem?
No.
Okay.
No.
Now I guess one of you asked me yesterday, how do we, align this text in the center or at the right? One of you asked me that. Do you remember? So we're gonna do the same thing.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, great. So now I want to align this text, like I want to take this text and get it to the center. So how do I do that? Again, using CSS. We have a property in CSS that's called text align. Like the property itself is saying what it's going to do. So the property is text align. How many words do we have and how do I write it?
Two.
So how do I write it?
So text dash align.
Very good. I'm gonna write text dash align, but make sure you're writing it after the semicolon. Okay. Text dash align is your property, and then how do I equate it?
The column.
The columns. Good. And this text dash align takes in three properties. Like it can take three properties. How many spaces do I have to, how many options do I have to align this text? How many options do I have? Like in which positions can I set this text to? I have the left position, I have the right position, and then I
The
have
bottom. The center.
the center. I only have three positions. This text align can take up to only three properties: start or left, center, and right or end. Okay, so if I were to write center and then semicolon, save it, refresh it, what it's going to do is it's going to take the text and make it go to the center. Similarly, for example, if I want to have this text at the end, what should I say? Instead of center, I'm going to say what?
To the right.
Very good, to the right. Save it. Now I have it in the right. Any problem?
No.
Okay, let's say I want to have it in the center, so instead of right, I am going to say what? Center. Save it, refresh it, it's going to get it to the center. Okay,
And same thing for left.
so for left is left, simple. Okay, so I haven't written left because the initial position of every text is left. Okay, because the English language starts from the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the time being, we're going to say center. Okay, now I want to increase the size of this heading, like I want to make it bigger. So what should be the property? Like, take a guess. I'm not asking you to tell me exactly the value, I just want you to guess. So what should be the property for making the text bigger or smaller?
Meaning like the words, the font size of it.
Very good, exactly, the font size. The property name is font size. So how many words do I have in font size?
You have four words there.
Size, 2 words. So how am I going to write it?
So font dash size.
Exactly, good. Save it. Sorry, not save it. Colons in order to equate it. And let's say the default value for H1 is 32 pixels. Okay, the default value is 32 pixels. So let's say I am going to write, maybe let's say 60px, and at the end we're going to put what? In order to
Semicolon.
Semicolon, exactly. Save it and refresh it. Now this heading is big. Okay, any problem?
No.
Okay, but I do have a problem, and that problem is, what do you think about this H1? What's happening here? As I'm increasing the properties, what's happening to this H1? All of this code, what's happening to this code?
It's expanding.
Exactly, it's expanding. So what is the problem with expanding?
It gets bigger. Does it get bigger, the font size?
Yeah, it's getting bigger. Again, there is a but it's not a problem. You're not telling me about the problem. So what is the problem with this code? Like, it's totally fine, like it's working, everything and all, but there is a problem. For example, I have only written how many properties? I've written like 1, 2, 3 and 4 properties, right? I've written only 4 properties, and what it did to my H1, like it's making my code dirty, like it's cramping up my
like
code.
The layout is not nice.
Not the layout.
Are you saying
it's basically cramping up the code, like it's congested, isn't that right? Like the code is congested.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting messy.
Exactly, it's getting messy. So if it's getting messy, so what is the problem with getting messy?
It's confusing.
It's confusing, exactly, right. So if I were to debug a problem, what is debugging? Do you guys know about debugging?
No.
Like, what is a bug?
Removing.
Removing. Yeah, you're upright, removing. But do we remove everything?
What you don't need.
Exactly, what you don't need, the faulty part. So debugging in programming world is basically like removing the errors. Okay, debugging refers to removing the errors. So if I were to debug it, is it easy or is it hard to debug this code? Like, is it easy to remove errors from this code or it's hard?
It's hard.
Why is it hard? Because again, it's congested, it's getting messy, like everything is cramped up. So what's the solution for this one? The solution for this one is that we never do inline styling. Like, we never have to do inline styling. Why? Because it gets your code messy, and when your code is messy, it's really hard to debug the code. So never use inline styling, okay, unless you have to use it. So we're gonna do what? We have
Wait,
to.
I thought you said this was the most powerful
It
though.
is the most powerful, but it is the most messy.
Okay.
Okay, so you can use it, but again, when are you going to use it? When the internal or external styling is not working, so you're going to shift towards inline styling. So inline styling is going to be applied no matter what. Why? Because it's the most powerful styling, but again, it's the most messy styling. Okay,
Okay.
so I'm going to remove all of the styling from here. I'm going to save it, I'm going to refresh it, and it's back to where it was. Okay, so now we are going to study the internal styling. Do you guys have any problem about the inline styling, like how do we write it and how do we make up the properties and values? Any problem with that?
No.
Okay, great. So now we are going to move towards inline styling. Now inline styling and external styling are completely similar. So you don't have to learn another thing for external styling. Inline and internal and external styling are totally same. So how do you write internal styling? First of all, you have to move towards your head. Okay, you are going to get into your head. After the title part, like everything in HTML is a tag. So what about styling? If you want to have a styling phase, you're gonna have to do what? You're gonna have to put a style tag in the head. Okay, so if you want to use CSS, you're gonna do what? Inside the head tag, make sure it's between opening and closing. After the title, you're gonna write style opening tag and styles closing tag. Okay, now inside these tags, again, it's completely a new world. Inside these tags you have CSS going on, and outside these tags you have HTML going on. Okay, do you have any
Okay.
question?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so what's the syntax for writing internal styling? First of all, you don't have to write it, I'm just writing it to show you what's the syntax. First of all, you are going to write your selector. Now what is a selector? The thing you want to style is called a selector. For example, if I want to style this one, what would be the selector value? If I want to style this one, this,
H2.
very good, h2. And what about this one? If I want to have if I want to style this one, what would be the selector? Paragraph. Exactly, good.
H3.
No, this one, this is in h3. This is,
Paragraph?
yeah, paragraph. So after selecting the selector, you are going to put curly braces. Okay, now inside these curly braces you're gonna write again what we have written in the inline styling. First of all, on the left side we are going to have what? We are going to have property name. Okay, in order to equate it, we're going to put what? Equals to or colons? Columns, good. And on the right side we're gonna have what? We're gonna have property, very good. We're gonna have property value. Wait, let me remove the spaces because it's a property value. Wait, let me remove this property name and everything. Okay, on the left side we're gonna have property, and on the right side we're gonna have value, and at the end we're gonna have what?
Semicolon.
Semicolon. Yeah. So this is the syntax for writing internal CSS. Any problem for this one? Do you guys have any problem? Okay, so if you don't have any problem, let's do it once more. I'm gonna remove style tag. So again, okay, so I want to write internal styling. How do I write it? Where should I go?
The head.
Exactly, the head. Before the title or after the title?
After.
After the title, exactly. I'm going to write what? If I want to have CSS, if I want to do CSS, what should I do?
Style.
Exactly, very good. I'm going to write styles tag opening, and then I'm going to close this tag. Okay, let's start with the style. Let's say again I want to style this h1. So what the first thing is the selector value, what you want to style. So what do I want to style? I want to style
H1.
very good, h1. So I'm going to write h1, and after the h1, what should I write?
Selector.
No, this is my selector.
The property. Oh, the colon.
There's something else.
The curly.
The curly.
braces. Exactly, good. The curly braces. Now inside these curly braces, you're gonna do whatever you want. For example, first of all, I want to change the position of this H1. H1. I want to put it in the center. What's the property for putting this H1 in the center?
The text align.
Very good. The text line. How do I write it?
Text dash align.
Very good. Text dash line. Then I'm going to do what? For
The
Colon.
very good. The columns and then
center.
the value. Exactly good. And at the end we're gonna write semicolon. Save it. Refresh it. It's in the center. Okay. Then make sure you're in the same curly braces. If you want to style it again, for example, I want to make this maybe green. I want to make this green. So I'm gonna do what? Inside the same curly braces, you don't have to go outside these curly braces, otherwise it's not going to work. Inside the same curly braces, after the semicolon, I'm gonna get to the new line in order to have a clean code. So I want to change the color for this one. What's the property name for changing the color?
Color.
Good. And equality, for equality we're gonna write what?
Colon.
And then I'm going to say, let's say, green, and at the end
Semicolon.
semicolon. Save it, refresh it. Now we have this green color. Okay. Let's say I want to make it big, make it bigger. What's the property value?
The font size.
Very good. The font size. So font and then
Flat.
dash
Size.
good, and
Colon.
columns, and maybe
then
let's
the
say this time make it more bigger.
Is it 20? Was it? Oh, 30.
By default is 32. Each one is 32 by default.
60.
Maybe how much?
60.
60. Okay, 60. And at the end we're gonna say what?
PX.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Px.
Semicolon.
Semicolon.
Save it. Refresh it. Now it's bigger. I want to change, maybe let's say the background should be magenta. The background should be magenta. What should I say?
Background
Very
dash color.
Background dash good color and then
Colon.
magenta. Okay. Any problem for these properties? Again, you don't have to memorize them. As long as you're practicing, you're gonna memorize everything on your own. Okay. So let's discuss some new properties. Let's say I want to underline it. I can do that with U tag, right?
Yeah.
But if I want to double underline it, can I do that with U tag? I can. Okay. So for that we're gonna use what? We're gonna use CSS. So the property for underlining or overlining or with a line through, the property for that is text decoration. So how do I write text decoration?
Text slash decoration.
Very good. Text dash decoration. And then columns. Good. Now this text decoration can take in three properties. We have underline, we have overline, and then we have a line through. So you all know about underline, yeah? Underline is like when there's a line under the text. What about overline? Over the text. What about line through? Exactly, in the middle of the text. For example, first of all, you're going to write what? Underline, and then semicolon. Can you see the underline? Yeah, it's under the text. And if I were to say, instead of underline, I'm going to say what? Overline. It's going to do what? It's going to take this line at the top. Save it, refresh it. Now you're seeing it over the text, right? Okay. So what if I want to get it in the middle? What should I say?
Through the
Line through. How many words do I have? Line through. 2. So how do I write it? Line dash
line.
through. Save it, refresh it, and now you have a line in the middle of the text. Okay? Okay. So let's say I want to make this line double. I want to make it double. Like I want a double line through. So what I'm going to do is, after this property, I'm going to write another property that is referring to this property. Okay, another property that is referring to this property, that is text decoration dash style. Okay, text decoration style. Like I want to style this line now. How do I do that? It can take up many parameters. There are many inputs. For, let's say, for starting, we're gonna say double. Now what it's going to do is it's gonna make this line double. Can you see the double line?
Yeah.
Okay, if I were to say it like dotted, what's gonna happen?
Gonna be
Will be
dotted.
dotted.
Exactly, it's gonna be a dotted line. Let's make it underline. It's not quite visible. Let's make it an underline. Now we have a dotted line. Okay, now if I were to say, let's say, dashed, what's gonna happen? Instead of dots, you're gonna have dashes. Okay, any problem with this?
So when you write text decoration, like text slash decoration,
Okay.
colon, and if I write underline, it's gonna do underline. If I write like the line through, it's gonna change it to line through.
Yes.
But I have to start with text decoration colon for all of them.
Yeah, you have to do that. Okay,
Okay.
you have to write text
Okay.
decoration, and also it's going to take up only one property. It can either take underline, it can either take overline, or it can either take line through. It's not going to take all three of them at the same time. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to do is, no, you're going to do is, you're going to do all of these styling again with this paragraph. Okay, so let's do it. Inside the style tag, make sure you're inside the style tag. If you were to go outside this, it's not going to work because it's completely a different word. So how do I target this one? Like I want to get this one from HTML to CSS. How do I do that? First of all, what was the syntax for writing CSS?
For the selector, you're gonna
Very
write
good.
paragraph.
First of all, you're gonna have a selector, and the selector is P. Okay, and then the second step was, I think I should write it again. First of all, you're gonna have what? A selector, and after this, you're gonna have curly braces. Okay, inside these curly braces, you're gonna have your property, and then for equality sign, you're gonna have
Columns.
columns. Good, and then
The value.
the value, and at the last we have
Semicolon.
Semicolon.
Good. So this is your syntax. Okay, so let's remove it again. Now I want to get this paragraph into my CSS. So the first thing is your selector. So the selector is your P. So after the P, we're gonna write what? We have to write
The curly thingies.
curly braces, yeah. And then let's say, for the first thing I want to do is I want to make it bigger, like the bigger than this one. So
The
how do
font
we-
size?
Very good, the font size. And this one was how much pixels?
60.
60. So let's make it bigger, maybe let's say 80 px. Save it. Now it's bigger. Okay, so let's say I want to have an overline over this paragraph. So what's the property?
The text dash decoration.
Very good. Text dash decoration, and then
Columns.
columns. Good. Over the text.
Overline.
Very good. Overline.
Semi.
Save it.
Columns.
Yeah. Let's say I want to make it double. I want a double overline.
Then
Text decoration.
And then there was another
Dash
word.
style.
Very good. Text decoration dash style colon, and I want to make it double. So how do I do that?
Until you can write double.
Very good. Writing double and semicolon, and now you have a double. Can you see the double overline, or is it just a big one? Wait,
We could kind of.
make it. Can you see that little gap here? Like
Yeah.
it's double, but it's because of the font size. It's basically collapsing over each other. So maybe let's say decrease it a bit, 40 maybe. Nah, 80 was good. But maybe let's not make it double, maybe make it upper one is dashed, so let's make it dotted. Yeah, it's good. Okay, let's say I want to make this paragraph go at the right side.
Text alignment.
Very good. Text align, and then
colon,
columns, and then
right,
right.
and semicolon. Yep.
Yeah, good. Let's say give it a color, maybe whatever color you want. So how do I give it a color?
A color,
Very good.
Purple.
Color, let's say purple. Okay.
colon. Yep.
Orange, purple.
Purple.
No, purple. I was saying colon.
Okay, colon. Okay, okay. Okay. So now we have a purple color. Okay. So I want to give a background color, but this time we have a new property. Okay, it's a totally new property, and it's a really good property. Let's say for the next part, I want to give it a background color, but that background color should be a mixture of colors. Like I want maybe 3 or 4 colors together mixed up. Okay, like a multiple color.
Like an ombre.
Yeah, like that.
The gradient ombre.
Oh, very good, like gradient. So the property is now what were we using for background color? The property
Background
background color.
dash color.
Yeah. So this property where you want to maybe give a gradient, a mixture of colors, the property is background only, not background color. Okay. The property is background only, and then columns, and then you want to give it a mixture of colors, and that mixture is called a gradient.
I mean
Okay?
background without the dash.
Background without the color.
Oh,
Okay. So the previously we were using background color, it was just for the one color. Okay, if you want to have multiple colors, you're gonna have what? Only background. Okay. So the property is now we have to give it a gradient. Now there are two kinds of gradient you can give in CSS. We have a linear gradient and we have a radial gradient. What does linear refers to?
linear gradient.
Yeah. What does linear would refer to? Like a linear.
Change.
No, linear. Back in I guess 6th or 7th grade, we did studied about linear graphs. Maybe have you guys heard about graphs?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
like linear equations.
yeah, like that. So what were linear equations or linear graphs or linear lines?
Straight line.
Exactly.
That means
And how what's the styling for line? Is it curved? Is it like
Straight.
exactly straight? So linear would mean a straight line of colors. Okay, like in one direction, maybe top, maybe bottom, maybe right or left. Like it's a linear line. So what? And then the second kind of gradient in CSS is your radial gradient. What does radial would refer to?
Radial.
like here and there,
Here and there. Okay. Radial.
Pattern.
or like a transition.
Linear is also a transition. But radial, what does radial sounding like exactly? Sounding like something, yeah? Back in maths, let's get back to the maths. We did studied about circles.
Central point.
Circles had radius, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically,
Circular.
radial is referring to that radial, and basically radial gradient is like a circular gradient.
Yeah.
Okay. So linear is a straight line, like straight line of colors, and radial is your like circular formation of colors. Okay. So let's start with the radial linear one. So we're gonna say what background, and then we have to say linear dash gradient. Okay. Background is your property, linear gradient is your value, and after this you are going to put parenthesis. Like this is used for every kind of bracket in programming. Okay, you're going to use every kind of bracket in programming. These are called parentheses in programming world, or you can say small brackets or round brackets, but again the technical word for these are parentheses. Okay. So at the end we're going to write semicolon, and inside these brackets you can put whatever color you want. Like you can write hundreds of colors, it's going to give it a gradient. But for the time being, let's say we're going to write what's going to suit for behind the purple. Let's say give the purple is a darker color, so let's give me let's say light
Yellow.
yellow. Okay, good. Yellow, comma, give me another
Green.
color that is light. just like yellow.
Mm,
Maybe
blue,
orange.
like light blue.
Light blue. Okay, good. Light blue. And give me the last color. Give me one more color.
Um,
Uh,
Light orange.
Orange. Orange. Okay. Save it, and then refresh it. Now you have what?
oh
Now you
wow,
have a mixture of colors. Yeah. But
it's
this isn't like looking really good. Why isn't it looking really good? Because it's basically flowing from top to bottom, right? For example, the first you have what? Yellow, and then it's transitioning into light blue, and then that light blue is transitioning into orange. So basically it's flowing from top to bottom. But what I want for these colors is to flow from left to right. Okay, did you get the question? What I want to do with this?
you want them to come from left to right.
Exactly, I want them to come from left to right. At the moment they're coming from what? Top to bottom. So you can change direction to however you want just by writing what? At the starting of this, before writing the colors, you're gonna specify the direction. Okay, there are 4 directions you can specify. We have 2 bottom, that is by default. We have 2 top, where your colors are going to flow from bottom to top, and then we have 2 right, where your colors are going to flow from left to right, and then we have 2 left, where your colors are going to flow from to left is like right to left. Okay, so for the time being we're gonna we want to do what? We want the colors to flow from left to right. So what should we write? We have to write 2 space right, and make sure to write comma. Save it, refresh it. So now we have colors flowing from left to right. Okay,
Okay.
any problem with this one?
But I'm sorry. So
Yeah,
to right, why we have to write to right first every time?
yeah. No, you don't have to write every time. Basically you have to specify the direction where you want the colors to move. For example, you want the colors to move from right to left. What should you write then? If you want the colors to move from right to left.
To left.
To left, exactly, you're gonna write what? To left. But whatever directions you want to specify, they should be specified at the start. Okay,
Oh,
before writing the colors. Okay, save it
mhm.
and then refresh it. You're gonna say they're gonna switch your the direction.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay, so we have studied how many properties? I guess 7 to 8 properties. Now we're gonna apply every property to this one. Okay, so again in the same styling, but outside these curly braces, because these curly braces are for P. So outside these curly braces I want to get this one. What is this? What was this?
H2.
Very good, H2. So we are going to write what? The first of all we have to specify the
The H2.
very good, the selector H2, and then
Then the curly bracket.
curly brackets, yeah, and then inside the curly braces we have to write whatever properties you want. So let's say we want to do what? Like this time you do it. What do you want to do with this one? What should we do with this one?
Center.
Center, yeah. How do we get it to the center?
Excellent.
Excellent.
Very good. Text align. Let's say in the center. Yeah. So what should we do next?
We
Font.
put
Sorry,
The font size.
the font size. Good. So let's specify the font size, and then let's not make it really big. Maybe let's say 35 pixels. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, that's good. And then
The color.
the color. Good. So the color should be, give me a unique color.
Red.
Red. Red isn't a unique color. We already used red. Let's say a really bright color, so that the background should be, it's really good. Looks good.
gray.
Gray. Okay, let's see, gray. Save. And now we have a gray color. Okay. So okay. So what should we do next?
Background.
The background. And I want the background to be a mixture of colors. So what should be the property for that?
Linear.
No,
Linear
the property.
gradient?
The property for that. You're telling me the value for that. What was the property for linear gradient?
Oh, color?
No, color is for the text.
Was it radial dash gradient?
You're telling me the
No.
value of that property. What was the property? It was background.
background.
Okay, not background color, it's just background. Okay.
Just background.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how to change the font?
Yeah. I can tell you about that. But first of all, let's change the background color, and then we'll move
so-
towards changing the fonts. Okay.
Okay.
So background,
Colon,
and then
Linear gradient.
linear dash
Linear.
gradient.
dash gradient, and yes, then towards this
Parentheses.
parentheses. Very good, parentheses. And then inside the parentheses we have to specify whatever colors you want. So the gray is a light color, so give me darker colors. Sorry, is there a question? Okay,
No.
okay, so gray is a lighter color, give me some dark colors.
Blue.
Blue, yeah,
Black.
black, okay,
And brown.
and
Brown.
brown, okay. Give me one more color.
White.
Give me dark color. White is not going to, it's not going to.
Purple.
Let's say purple maybe. Yeah, purple. Save it. But it's gonna flow from where? It's gonna flow from top to bottom. Okay. So how do we change the direction for that? For example, if I were to refresh it, it's flowing from top to bottom. I want to make them go from left to right.
You're gonna add 2 right before
Very
the
good.
colors.
Before the colors, we're gonna add 2 right. Is that right? Or should we add something else?
The comma.
Oh, very good. The comma. Save it. Refresh it. Now you have your gradient flowing. Okay. So now your question was, how do we change the font of your text? Okay. So first of all, I have a question for you guys. What's the difference between text and font? Like, what's the difference? The font and text.
The text is what you're typing and the font is the way it's displayed.
Very good. Exactly. The text is what you're typing, and the font is how the text is showing. Like what's the styling for that font? Okay. So if you want to change the styling, like how this text is written, so I want to change, let's say maybe creative, right, like cursive writing, or maybe like different styling. So the property for that is font family. Okay. So this property is going to do what? Is going to change the styling for your font. For example, if I were to write cursive, it's going to do what? It's going to make it cursive. Okay, now it's cursive. Now if I were to write, let's say the most you can say sophisticated font is sans serif. Okay, there are a lot of fonts. There are thousands of fonts we're going to use when we will move towards VS Code, because we're going to use third-party fonts using Google Fonts. But for the time being, these fonts are pre-built, so we're going to use this one. If you were to refresh it, now you have a different styling. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Okay, let's move towards more properties. So I want to make it, no, it's already bigger. So let's say I want to have a line through this text. What's the property for that? Let's not make it gray, let's make it white.
I have another question.
Yeah.
We went for background linear gradient, but we didn't go over the radial.
Radial gradient?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
didn't show us.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's apply for the radial gradient. First thing is, for the radial gradient you need something that is bigger. Okay, that's how you're gonna see the colors. So let's say,
Oh, okay. Like
let's,
regarding like the background,
like, sorry,
like the whole page. background?
exactly, like the whole page. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna style all of the page. So let's say I want to have a radial gradient, like a circular gradient, with this white part. What is this white part?
The background.
The back,
Like
The body?
the body. Exactly, good, the body. So our selector would be, in this case, is going to be what? It's going to be
body.
the body. Yes. Okay, so what I want to do with the body is I want to put a circular gradient in the background. So what is the property for gradients?
It's saying the call is gonna end in 2 minutes.
Wait a minute. Okay. We can do this one last property, and I'm gonna send you a new link. Okay.
Okay.
So what is the property for gradients?
Background.
Very good. It's background. And instead of linear gradient, this time you are going to say radial gradient. Okay. And now this radial gradient does not take any two left or two right. Why is that? Why doesn't it take two left or two right?
It's in the middle.
Exactly. It's basically a circle. It doesn't have a two left or two right. It's a circle. So let's say I'm gonna put maybe orange and yellow, and what's similar to orange and yellow?
Green.
Green. Okay, green. Save it. Refresh it. It's not happening. Background is something.
The green has to.
Yeah, good. The green has to be green, not green. Okay, now we have a sun.
But
Okay.
did you like, you know how we wrote to right? And for this one, I know it's a circle, but did
Yeah.
we have to write circle in
No,
it?
no, by default it's circle.
Oh,
By default
okay.
circle, but you can write ellipse and something with the circle as well. Okay, so
Okay.
it's by default it's circle. Okay, so I'm gonna send you a new link. Okay, because the class is going to end in under a minute. So you please join that link. Okay.
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 Okay. So we were discussing about radial gradient. So radial gradient doesn't take two left or two right or anything like that. So they're gonna take two ellipse, two circle and ellipse. Okay, by default it's going to be a circle. Okay.
But it's not mandatory to write it, right?
No, it's not mandatory. No, no, no. By default,
You just want to write it, you just want the colors.
yeah, it's not mandatory because by default the radial gradient is already a circle. Okay. Okay, so let's say I want to make it more interesting. Let's say in the background I want to give an image. Okay, I want an image to be spread on all of the background. It should have an image. Okay, we did discuss about images in HTML, but we haven't discussed about images in CSS. So what I want to do right now is I want to have an image that takes up this whole space of the body. Okay, so I'm going to remove this one and I'm going to refresh it, and next I'm going to get some images and make sure it's sharp. Let's see this one. It's 740 pixels. No. And what about this? Yeah, it's good. So right click, copy image
How are you
address.
able to tell again how long or the width of it and everything?
It's basically written in
On
the
the bottom?
body. Yeah, exactly. It's basically written in the bottom corner, bottom right corner. Okay.
For every picture,
Yeah.
every image?
Yeah, for every image. If I were to click this, it's gonna have 740. If I click on this,
Okay.
why is Mr. Hacker really quiet today? Mr. Hacker is really quiet.
I'm just trying to figure it out.
No, if you have any kind of question, you have to ask it right there and then, because you know it's not going to it's going to be really difficult if you don't ask. You have to ask questions. Okay, if you have any kind of questions, you have to ask. It doesn't matter if I've already covered the topic, I'm going to do it again. Okay. Okay, so let's say I want to have an image that is going to take up this entire screen's width. Like this, all of this white part should be an image. Okay.
Like the background?
Yeah, exactly, the background. All of the background should be an image. So you did get the question right? Did you guys get the question?
Yeah, you
Okay.
want to change the background and put the image there?
Exactly. I want to change this white background, this white dull background, into, let's say, a really good image. So what I'm going to do is, it's a new property, and it's going to I'm going to, there are a lot of properties. Again, you don't have to memorize them. As long as you're practicing, you're going to memorize them yourselves. You don't have to memorize them. Your brain is going to do it for yourself. Okay, so the property is background dash image. Okay, If you want to put images in the background, here the property is background image. And then the next thing is what? Fonts, good. And then if you want to put images, you this part is how you put images using CSS. Okay, the images with the HTML is a completely different thing. So for the background image, the value is URL. Okay, after that you are going to put parentheses in the end, semicolon, and inside these parentheses put quotation marks. And then once you've copied from here, which one we copied, I guess we did copied it, so paste, save it, and then refresh it. Now you have what? You have an entire image in the background, but there is a problem.
How did you copy it?
Sorry?
How did you copy the image?
Control
Like
V.
no, not Control V. So first of all you have to open the image and then right click, copy image address, just like we copied it yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then simply,
And you have to put it in the quotations?
yeah, in the quotations. Okay.
Okay.
There is a problem with this image. Can you tell me about the problem? This is an actual image. This is the actual
It's
image.
too big?
To the right.
Exactly. It's to the right. It's to the right. It's too big, plus it's to the right. I want this image to be like placed in the dead center. Like I want I want to see this mountains in my website.
So would you use text align?
Sorry, no. Text align is
No,
only for
you
the
would
text.
background radio, right?
Sorry,
Background radio.
for this image?
Yeah, because it wouldn't go in the center.
No.
Would it be the position?
No. So background radial, I'm gonna break down every suggestion that you've given me. The text align is basically for the text. You have to memorize this thing. Text align is only for the text. Okay. Background radial is for the mixture of colors, for gradients. It's not for the images. Okay.
Okay.
And position is totally a different and an advanced topic. Okay, we are going to cover them later in our classes. Okay, so in order to center this image, like I want to put it in the center, there is a property for the background image, and that is background position. Now this position isn't the position that you were talking about. This position is something else. Okay, background position, and this takes in two parameters from you, two inputs from you. First one is, where do you want to position this image on the x-axis? Okay, do you guys know about x and y-axis, right? Wait,
Yeah.
let me visualize it for you guys. So we have like, this is your what? Which axis is this one?
X.
No. This is
Y.
Y.
and this is
And then
Across is
X.
X.
okay. So basically, the first thing this background position property is going to take from you is your x-axis. Like, how do you want to move an image on the like x or y? Where do you want to move it? Like this, or where? Okay, like this one. How do you want to move the image on this axis? So we'll say I want this image in the center from the x-axis. The second parameter is going to tell you how do you want to align the image on the y-axis. Like, how do you want to align the image like this? Okay, so after the space we're going to say center. Like, I want the image from the x-axis to the center and from y-axis to be in the center. If you were to refresh it, now you still don't have the mountains in the center. So what was the point of writing all of this? Again, the image is really big. So let's say if I were to say, yeah, let's resize this image because this image is really big. I guess it was 3000 pixels. Yeah, that's why. So there's another property where you can resize it. This is for positioning the image, and this property I'm going to write now is, this is for resizing the image. So we're going to say background size, and let's say 100% from the x-axis, space, and 100% from the y-axis, and semicolon. So it's still not in the center because this image is really big. So let's take another picture. Yeah, this one's good. Copy image address, and instead of this image URL, let's put this one. Okay, is it now in the center?
Yeah.
Yeah. But this part was very difficult because these are some new properties, so I am going to do what? I'm going to remove this one and I'm going to write it again. No, you're going to write it again. So okay, what I want to do is I want to get rid of this white background. I want to put a really beautiful image in the background. So how do I do that? What should be my selector? If I
Body.
want
Background
no, the selector,
or the body?
Body.
the body. Good. So we're gonna say what? Body, and then
Background.
No, the curve back
Or
brackets.
the
What is it called?
curly?
The curly brace is good. The curly braces. And what's the property for putting images in the background?
Background.
Background image.
Oh, very good. Background image.
Image.
Background image. Then columns. Good. Very
RL.
good. URL.
Parentheses.
Parentheses.
And then quotation.
Semicolon.
Semicolon. Good. And inside the parentheses, we're gonna do what?
Or
The image
quotation.
code.
Quotation.
They're gonna insert the copied.
Exactly. Good. Now Mr. Hacker is going to tell me how do I copy the image. Mr. Hacker, are you there?
Yeah.
So how do I copy an image? Let's say I want to get this image. So what do I do first?
Click on it,
Click on it. Okay. And then
and then right click on the
good.
picture,
Right click and then
and then copy image address.
very good. Copy image address. Very good. But there's a problem with this image, and what is that?
Is
There's
it too big?
very good. No, not big. It's small.
Too small. I can't
Yeah.
see it. Sorry.
So let's say I want to have an image that is, yeah, this one looks good, but I guess this is again small. Let's see, 740 pixels. Can you see? Can you see these dimensions here?
Yeah.
This is going to tell you whether it's big or small. So let's say this one maybe. It's still 740. It's 850. This rose, yeah, just good. This is 1080 pixels. So again, it's small because it's black background. So let's say this one maybe. Yeah, it looks good. 1920 into 1040. 1920 is your width and 1084 is your height. So right click, copy image address, split your screen, back to your website, inside the quotations, paste it, and then refresh it, and now we have this image. Any problem
Is
with
it
this?
still too big?
Okay, it is big. Yeah. So what should we do is we're gonna say, what should we say? If I want to resize it, what's the property for resizing the image?
Background.
Dash size.
Very good.
Position.
Background size.
Size.
Background dash size. Let's say I want it to be 100% from the x-axis and 100% from the y-axis. So now it's completely in the middle. Yes.
So for the y-axis and the x-axis, we have to put percentage, right?
Yeah, percentages. Or you can put
For the
center
picture,
as well.
and for the pictures, it's px.
For the no, it can be
Like the
percentages. It can be pixels as well. I'm gonna walk you through about the percentages and pixels as well, but not yet. Okay, it's a
Okay.
really big concept about the percentages and pixels. Okay, but for the time being, you can say that pixels is for the images, the HTML images, and background size. For background size, we're gonna put percentages for the time being. Okay.
Okay.
So now we have this image right in the center. Okay, but this image is not really good, so let's remove this one and maybe put this one. Yeah, this is good. Copy image address and replace this URL to this one. Now it's good. Okay. Any problem with this?
No.
Okay, great. So let's, yeah. So what I want to do now is, there's another property. Okay, we have discussed about like 10 to 12 properties, right? You have
Yeah.
About.
yeah, you have to apply all of these properties in your assignment, which I'll assign you, and I'll send you a message in the group. Okay?
Yeah, that's better when you send it in the group.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to do what I want to do right now is I want to make all of this text to be uppercase. Okay, like I want every letter to be uppercase, I want every letter to be capital. So what should I do? I should remove with this, and then I should turn on my caps lock, and then I should write it again, right?
No.
So what should I do? If I don't have to do all of this, then what should I do? There should be a property for that, right? For example, if I
Yeah.
have a word, if I have a paragraph with like thousand, like with the length of 1,000 words, should I remove it and then write it again? No. There's a property in CSS that's called, let's say I want to target this one. What was this? This was, I
The
guess, h2, yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate h2, and I'm going to get inside this h2. Okay. The property for manipulating the text is text transform. So basically the word itself is indicating what it's going to do. It's going to do what? It's going to transform your text. So basically this text transform property can take three things from you. It can take lowercase. What's lowercase going to do? What does lowercase mean?
There's going to be some letter.
Exactly, every letter is going to be small. Very good. What about uppercase?
Big.
Every letter is going to be big. And what about capitalize? The third property it takes is capitalize. So what should capitalize
First
mean?
letter of each word.
Oh, very good. The first letter of each word is going to be capital. So let's say the first property we're going to put is lowercase, and at the end we're going to write what? Semicolon. Good. Save it. Refresh it. Now every letter is small. Similarly, let's say I am going to write instead of lowercase uppercase. Now every letter is capital. Similarly, let's say instead of uppercase we are going to write capitalize. Save it. Refresh it. Now every first letter of every word is now capital. Any problem with this one?
no.
Okay, great. Now we're going to study the last property, and then we're going to end our class, and I'm going to assign you a really easy assignment. Okay?
Okay.
Let's target this one. What was this one?
Paragraph.
Paragraph. So let's go to the paragraph. Yeah. Let's look at this paragraph, and inside these curly braces, yeah, this. Let's say I want to make this paragraph bolder. Right? This paragraph is in bold. Or is it bold? Is it bold or not? If you were to compare
No.
these two, is it bold or
No.
not?
No.
No. We can use B tag, but again B tag is limited to some, there's a special, you can say a number that it is limited to. If I want to make it more bold, then we have a property in CSS that can do that for us, and that property is font weight. What it's going to do is, what is it going to do?
Make the paragraph bold.
Very good. It's going to make the paragraph bold. So font weight, it can take in numbers and it can take in words. So for the words, we can say, let's say lighter. What does lighter mean?
It's gonna make it thinner.
Exactly, it's gonna make it thinner. Very good. If I were to refresh it, it's already thinner, so it's not gonna have any effect. So if I were to make it, let's say if I were to say bold, what it's going to do is it's gonna bold this one. Okay. So any problem with these properties? I guess we've studied about hardly, I guess, 15 properties. Okay, again, you don't have to memorize it. I'm saying it again and again, because for the first time for the students it's overwhelming. But trust me, as the time passes, these things are going to be like child's play, to be honest. But the thing is, you have to practice. Practice is very important, at least 2 hours daily. Okay. So any questions for what we've studied today?
No.
Okay, great.
You'll send us these videos, right? So we can look at them over the 5
Yes,
days that we
I
have.
am sending you a YouTube link. everything we
Okay.
did here is recorded. Okay, so you can watch it again and you can practice it by watching.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So any problem, any questions?
No.
Okay, if there are no questions you can leave. Thank you. We'll meet
Thank you.
we'll meet
Okay. Thank you.
inshallah next Monday. Okay, so this was your last
Inshallah.
Okay.
class for today.
Hafiz.
Okay,
Hafiz.
so you
Alright.
might have around 2 to 3 assignments for these 4 days, so
Okay.
enjoy these assignments. Okay, thank you.